So, first of all, I produced the very first ever B2B, B2C optical marketplace in the world. To this, wow, this answer is evolving by the second. So let me give you stage one virtually. Brands like Kirk and Kirk, brands like David Green, brands like, Breathe Convention, who's not even from this industry, but they're really falling in love with the industry by working with me. And they represent over 5,000 individuals that aren't from this industry. So by touching one, we can touch 5, 10, 15, 20, 50,000. So this is a very big opportunity for our industry to have what we've always wanted, which is a fair seat at the table. Opticians and optometrists love to talk about their industry. I'm looking to merge the computer vision and vision worlds into the optical and optometry worlds to think that we should have full luxury of just raking over the whole entire infrastructure of what we've built, because they were hitting real roadblocks, like their frame company saying you can't post that picture, or their social media company using stock images of people that weren't them. In the optical industry, there is really only one ecosystem now. It never used to be like that. There were different ecosystems, but there's really one ecosystem. It actually covers the globe.
It's like I'm really curious to know what is something new happening within the eyewear space, and I should be the first one who should know it. So that is one of the reason that I was keen for starting this channel. But previously I wasn't able to do it because of conflict of interest and all. And since I'm not doing anything full time, so that's the reason that this is much more easy for me to do it.
So wait, can I give you something else that you could cover? Are you ready?
Yeah.
Because I didn't know this. I don't know if you know this as an optometrist, but I did not know this. So first of all, I produced the very first ever B2B, B2C optical marketplace in the world. To this day, it's still the only B2B, B2C optical marketplace, which we'll talk about after we're done with this call.
Okay.
Pronounce your first name for me, please. Sachin?
Sachin. Yeah, Sa and Chin.
Yeah. Sachin. Okay.
Yeah.
Sachin, my first client was my mother because she didn't like what they had. Whenever she bought glasses online, they wouldn't be nice to her about it. And she said, hey, if I buy glasses from you online, then maybe if, I'm not happy, at least you can help me figure out why. And I said, sure. So she would always buy glasses online and she was unhappy. And the doctor would say, oh, it's because they're made wrong and blah, blah, blah. So then she bought her glasses online from me and they were made very right. So he checked them out and he's like, these glasses are perfect. They're measured perfect. They're fit perfect. There's nothing wrong with them. But he's like, how's your sugar been? Because she's a diabetic. She said, well, it's been fluctuating. And he says, I want you to do me a favor. He's like, how can you see in them right now? She's like, I can see perfectly in them now. It's just sometimes they don't work. And he's like, yeah, glasses don't work like that. He's like, next time they don't work, take your sugar. So the next time she was starting to get blurry vision, she took her sugar and there was an abnormality. I don't remember if it was high or low, but there was an abnormality in her sugar. And he said, oh, yes, diabetics do have a challenge with progressive lenses. Sometimes it interferes with their, their success rate. So I'm looking to merge the computer vision and vision worlds into the optical and optometry worlds, because we do not have the luxury, considering the huge gap between technology and traditional optical and optometry industries, to think that we should have full luxury of just raking over the whole entire infrastructure of what we've built, because we just don't want to get involved in technology. There's a responsibility for our industry to step into the technology sector and say, wait a second, there's champions here and we're still here. So you can't create a new Olympics because the real champions are still here. That's not how this works. This is the Olympics. You want to participate. Here's how the games work. And here's the metrics that you have to pass to be able to qualify. But you certainly can't say, I don't like the long jump rules, so I'm just going to create a shorter jump in a new Olympics. No, there's no short Olympics. This is the real Olympics, and this is how it works. So that's my goal. I started with a company called OptiSource in their early stages, very early, to entrepreneurs who decided they were going to bring biodegradable optical consumables to the industry. And they grew into from 7 products into 200 some odd products. And they're along the way, as a person who provided support to the opticians, optometrists, labs, frame companies, all of these companies who needed our products, I started to get to really understand these businesses. And it was my job to understand their businesses so I could provide them with consumables. But I'm not that type of person. I'm a curious person. I'm an inquisitive person. I would always ask more questions, not just, hey, do you need blocking pads? Like, hey, why are you having slippage? And what types of lenses are you edging and why? And, what's going on? And, they would answer these questions. People love to talk about this stuff. Opticians and optometrists love, love, love to talk about their industry to anyone who will really listen and really take, they loved it when their rep was really asking not to sell them products, but just because they were curious about like how these different challenges were impacting their lives. And it was authentic. It was true. It was like, I built a rapport with these people. It's like, okay, why is this affecting your life? Why is this affecting your business? How can I make it better? Those questions, how can I make it better, got more advanced as my career grew. And towards the end of my career, how can I make it better was how can I help an alliance like Vision Source create a consumables program that helps over 5,000 locations who are connected simply by the name Vision Source, but not necessarily in a way where they could communicate, answer simple questions like, we're all using these same lenses. How do we find the right blocking pads? And how does one person's success rate with slippage translate to the rest of them? And we solved this problem with technology. I didn't know the technology. I didn't understand how to build it, but I had access to that. My company gave me access to that. They gave me access to an in-house developer that helped me to build Vision Source Store and portals for e-commerce. Portals for national chains that were looking to solve their problems with B2B commerce. So you think about Staples, they're one of the first organizations that did this. And you think about office supplies. Now, I didn't know about Staples when I pitched this idea to my company. But, I learned because when I pitched this idea to the Vision Monday Top 50, who my company wanted me to land their deal, I didn't say, hey, we're going to get you the best price on optical supplies. I said, hey, we're going to help you to solve some of these problems that nobody else can solve with this technology. And that's when they started saying things like, ooh, Staples did that. And it revolutionized the way we buy office supplies. So I didn't even need to sell this technology because they'd already seen it work in other really difficult ways. So this was my thing. This was like my shtick in my career. And then I ran out of shtick, so I resigned. And I'm the person who always looks for the biggest problem first. And the biggest problem to me when I resigned was that opticians and optometrists had zero, and that's a little extreme, but it's not super extreme, zero infrastructure when it comes to sales and marketing. Most of them were barely even trying to manage their social media. And when they wanted to really make a conscious effort, they were hitting real roadblocks, like their frame company saying, you can't post that picture, or, their social media company using stock images of people that weren't them, or them using hashtags and keywords that were trigger words for their audience that were bad. So for all of these reasons, they just didn't do it. It wasn't helping their business. It was hurting them when they did it. And it was challenging. So I thought, okay, let me see what I can do. And I founded my company, Sell Smart, Not Hard, to fill those gaps. We filled the sales and marketing gap with a storytelling based social media company that takes people's story and helps them to tell it better. And it was successful. I'm bringing you back to 2018, Sachin.
Yeah.
So saying that if you have the ability to provide good quality frames to me, and I have the ability to buy those frames and learn from you, and there's no one in the middle facilitating that's going to demand a percentage, then all we need is somebody who doesn't want to take a percentage for making that connection to happen, to say, you two need each other, but how do I position myself to benefit when you two need each other if I'm not taking a percentage? And the answer was simple. It was the optical near me B2B, B2C ecosystem. And okay. I'm the champion of that. And I benefit from that monetarily. If all the players in the ecosystem play their own role, because what we did is we created a whole new way for people to sell virtually. And
Okay.
virtual selling in 2018 was not accepted. It wasn't adopted. Nobody wanted it. They thought I was crazy. I got shunned in so many ways from so many segments of this industry, but I did not stop trying to preach virtual. What I did was I created a way to bring people into a virtual environment so that they understood the power of virtual. And this is pre-COVID. I built a virtual trade show called My Vision Show because I wanted, if people didn't want to sell virtually, they didn't want to transact virtually, I said, okay, what might they want to do virtually? And I thought, a lot of them probably want to talk to each other and they can't do that. So what if I created a way for them to talk to each other virtually? They don't have to put any, there was a completely free show that I did. I didn't charge anyone. I didn't charge exhibitors. I didn't charge attendees. Most people will think I'm crazy, but you know what? I have a metaverse today. So this was a very big investment. This wasn't free. It was an investment. And think about like some of these, I'm not going to name them because that's not the right thing to do, but some of these frame houses that have huge brands that have these direct to consumer channels that the opticians and optometrists can participate in, but it's a very minimal benefit. That is absolutely not what this is. And in order to understand any metaverse, not just the optical metaverse, any metaverse, you need to look at it in layers. Now, in the optical industry, there is really only one ecosystem now. It never used to be like that. There were different ecosystems, but there's really one ecosystem. It actually covers the globe. There was never this globalization, but with the consolidation and ownership of all of the major manufacturing sectors by 2 or 3 large players, centralization has created an ecosystem. It does not have layers. It has like just a core, and that's it. A brand like Kirk & Kirk has made a decision to support some of the layers that we have, but not all of them, because Kirk & Kirk has an ecosystem, and Kirk & Kirk does not want to disrupt their ecosystem by taking advantage of layers that don't work for them and for their ecosystem. And I'll use a different brand that has been very vocal about this. Trying to think of one. Oh, Mo Eyewear. Okay. So Mo Eyewear, they're a US-based distributor of a beautiful line that is super successful around the world. So think about metaverse independent of model. So just because I provide opportunities for unique selling models through the metaverse layers that I've created does not mean that it's a take it or leave it like model system. So you can use segments of the model without others. That's called interoperability. That's your ability to use pieces that you want and that you don't want, and to have as little friction as possible to pass through. So we provided new layers to Kirk & Kirk's ecosystem that they never had before. So Kirk & Kirk has been selling eyewear for over 100 years. You know, you just interviewed him, around the world. And now he has a new place to sell eyewear, and that's virtually. Now, not everybody is going to want to sell eyewear virtually, and not everybody.
So what do you mean by virtually? Virtually means it's on a website, or it is in a metaverse, like you are going inside a store and feeling it and all. What is virtually in your sense? What's the meaning of
Oh,
virtual?
that's a really good question.
Yeah.
Wow, this answer is evolving by the second. So let me give you stage 1 virtually. Okay. And again, I'm not an owner of these definitions. I'm just somebody who has exposed myself enough to what is and what isn't. So I feel confident using this vocabulary in the way that I'm using it, especially related to this industry, because virtually to the movie industry is going to be very different than virtually to opticians. So let me explain to you what virtually to opticians means from my perspective. Stage 1 is I have a website. It has a virtual try-on. So what's virtual? Virtual is I can try on glasses that I don't physically have in my hand. And I can
Right.
see how they look on my face. I can,
Right.
imagine how it feels. I know how I feel. My face, I feel great. I have the same reaction virtually to that eyewear on my face that I would physically, even though I don't feel it, because I love the way it looks. I feel good
Okay.
about it, right? But
Okay.
I can't feel the metal. Now,
Right.
I may need to feel the metal. I may
Correct.
need to confirm that it's not going to squeeze my nose. I may need to, but I may not need to. That stage one virtual experience of just a virtual try on may be
Okay.
enough virtual information, because virtual is about information, right? It's a new way to get
Right.
information. That may be enough for me to make a buying decision. And
Correct.
now that optician or that optometrist or that business has generated a sale that they would not have generated otherwise.
Okay.
Now, the conditions of that sale could be straightforward. It could be I'm on ABC Optician's website. This is a Kirk and Kirk frame. I tried it on virtually, even though Kirk and Kirk facilitated that virtual try on because that optician did not do that. Kirk and Kirk did
Mhm.
that. Kirk and Kirk created that virtual try on. We worked with them to do that. We did work with them to create a virtual try on that is not on their website. Because right now, if you want to experience a virtual try on from Kirk and Kirk, you have to go to the Kirk and Kirk website. And not every retailer wants to send their customer to
To
their
the
retailer's
desktop.
website. So
Right.
Kirk and Kirk worked with us for the sake of the Optical Metaverse event coming up to join the Frames Library, which is a
Okay.
virtual library that we've created, which allows all frame companies from around the world to just publish their virtual frame try on without any
Okay.
price, without any connection to an ordering portal. It is strictly like, let's call it a lead generator system. So I can now say on that optician's website, which I've now virtually shopped, I love, not only do I love these, I need these like now. Now I know that you get
Okay.
them for me because I see your website, but it's 3 a.m. and you're closed. So there's this handy dandy little heart that I can click right now. And there's a little message that says I can send this to you. So I'm
Okay.
now going to send you, optician, at 3 a.m., my preferences. And now I love you. I really love you. You just made my life easy. Does that, I mean, there's so much more, but that's just a simple, like, use case. So
Right.
the simple on site virtual try on that has a little heart and a form is really for opticians that want to give a simple or easy way for patients to communicate to them all hours when they're not there. The
Right.
virtual store is for the gamer who doesn't wear glasses because there's no experience that they can encounter, even online, that they can relate to. And they now think to themselves, well, if they're going to make it fun, maybe I'll do it now. Like maybe I will create an avatar and maybe I will go into this virtual optical and maybe I will play the game in there that says, learn about AR coatings to get 50 points to get $1,000 off your, like, maybe I will do that. Maybe I will do
Okay.
all these things. And you just taught me, wait, you mean to tell me that I can go blind if I don't take care of my vision? Nobody told me that. I never knew that. And you didn't need to educate me. You didn't need to sell me. All you
Okay.
needed to do was provide a fun place for me to learn and to buy and to transact and to provide you with data on what I like. There's ways to collect anonymous data that aren't creepy, that aren't going to follow you when you leave the platform through social media. All of this is possible through virtual, and it really isn't possible any other way. I'm going to answer a question that a lot of people are asking that you would have asked had you thought of it, and you're going to love this question. The question is, how does AI and the metaverse work together? I'm going to answer that question now using your example. So I'm now in the metaverse and store, and I'm experiencing this eyewear, and it's talking about progressive lenses and single vision lenses and polarized lenses. I'm really confused. And I say, what is a progressive lens? And it says, okay, do you want me to explain to you like you're a 5-year-old, a college student, or an optometrist?
Okay.
I'm going to start with an optometrist because I want to see what optometrists know. So now this question, what are progressive lenses, can be answered through artificial intelligence in the language, because that's what this is, right? Of optometrists. Okay, well, I didn't understand that. Let's back up a step to college student. Now they explain, okay, I guess we're going to end up with the 5-year-old. and all those steps of the way, it's fun now. It's like, now I know what optometrists know. And now I understand it in a degree less. But now I know it like a 5-year-old. And that explanation was so simple that all of the other explanations now make sense.
Right.
And opticians don't have the time to do this. Optometrists don't have the time to do this, but they do have the time to build virtual environments that do this. And there's a really big fear of AI. If somebody goes online and uses public AI, you don't know where that information's coming from. We all use it and we all accept that because it's just super convenient. But if you're an eye doctor, if you're any doctor or any provider, because an optician may not be a doctor, but I think they get an unfair rap because even though they don't have that license, they still treat that patient like a patient. So much so that they actually make decisions that are against all reason for their business, for their profit side of their business, the retail side of their business, strictly because they're so passionate about patient care. I have the passion. I've been in this industry for 27 years. I love it. I am a major investor in the independent infrastructure and the fabric of which the future of optometry and opticianry will be built upon. I'm going to say that right now. I believe very strongly that the foundation that we've built with the Optical Metaverse and my vision show and this new opportunity in July 7th through 9th to bridge the gap finally between the world and our industry and let them see the real people, the real passion, the Jason Kirks, the Ryan Markeys, the Barry Santinis, the Sechin, Charlene Nichols, the Heather Harringtons, the Susie Sandels, all of these, the Tom Davies. These are the people that are still here. We're still, like Elton John, he just came into the industry. I'm still standing. You know what? He just started his eyewear brand, but you know what? He belongs here. He's been in the optical industry for his whole entire life. Okay. Now he gets to be a part of it. So I think people are going to look at vision differently forever in perpetuity, whether we like it or not, because that's where the world is heading. But people are going to ask about vision now, and not a lot of people do. I mean, I didn't understand the relationship between eyes and vision until I started getting into this industry, and I wanted to find a common thread between the technology part and the optical part. And I thought that would be hard until I started to study visualization. So this event, the Optical Metaverse inspired the development of the Omniverse City. People that have invested in me have invested their knowledge, their passion, their experience, their talents, their money in me and my company, not for an equity share, sometimes just to see me succeed. I mean, my early shows with my vision show, brands invested in me and they said, look, we know that this isn't going to be like a regular vision expo where we're going to get tons and tons of customers, but we believe in you and we want to support you. And we can build literally anything that you can imagine. There is literally nothing that you can imagine that we cannot build. We've done it. We've tested it. We built New York City. We built a fashion show. We built a way for eyewear brands from UK to do business with opticians in Ohio without them leaving their homes. Like we have achieved pretty impossible things. So now we just have to do it for more people.
Right. After the call, maybe some other day, I need to go more deep into this with you, and I would just want to understand how we can do something here in India. Because it sounds very much interesting and something which will be coming up tomorrow. If you want to do it today, you have to do it today. It's more like that.
Well, and that's why on July 7th, it is absolutely vital that every optical professional, every eye care professional, and every technology company that wants to empower an industry like the optical and eye care industry, who will become the most important industry in the world over the next 5 to 10 years, because vision is going to be dramatically impacted by a lot of this technology. More and more devices are being built to bolt onto people's faces, and more things will happen. I don't know if they're going to be good things or bad things. So I'm not here to say that it's good, and I'm not here to say that it's bad, but it's going to be new. And there's only a few industries that are equipped with the knowledge to understand when something's going wrong early enough to be vocal about it. There are no real current longitudinal studies about VR usage. And we just had a major company, Meta, lower the age to 10. And that makes people feel like it's okay. And maybe it is. I'm not saying it's not. But there aren't enough optometrists and opticians chiming in about this. And the ones who talk about it within their groups don't feel the greatest about it. And this platform that we've created that bridges the gap between the industry and the public lets them communicate their concerns from a professional standpoint directly to the people with questions. Now people, because of the optical metaverse, because of my vision show, because of the Omniverse City, the world will forever have a place where they can go to get their questions answered by real industry professionals. I mean, you really let me go a little deeper in some of the technology and some of the theory of why we're doing this. Normally I talk about my story and my champion, role in the industry, but I'm really excited that we focused on the technology this time because it's important that people know this is real, powerful technology we've built, and it is not going anywhere anytime soon. Okay. And the benefit of India, and I know this just from some research I did, there isn't as much, infrastructure, let's call it, to usurp there's a lot more independent opticians and optometrists in India. And the other thing about India that I love is it's very education rich. It's very education centric. And because of that, opticians and optometrists are thirsty for new information because they're just trained to do that. I feel like in our industry, there's a lot of people who love education. They really invest in it. But there's a lot that don't. It isn't like a culture that embraces learning. Sometimes that learning can be very difficult. It's not very accessible. So it becomes more of a chore. And I think India has done a very good job making it fun and exciting. Physical shows bring lots of physical people in, but they don't bring everyone in. They don't even bring most people in. Most would be more than half. They don't even bring half of the people in. They bring probably 20% of the industry goes to physical shows. The rest do nothing. So you've been surviving as a brand on an ecosystem that has so much more opportunity than you realize because you're not positioned virtually to tap into that 80% because they're choosing nothing for a reason. And if we just make it easier, not all of them will come, but if 10% of them will come, you've just now gone from 20 to 30 or 40 to 50 or 60 to 70, but maybe it's more than 10. I've seen a big adoption from this. So, I hope that answers your question.
Yeah. Got it.
Thank you.
Great,
I really have liked this interview. This was great.
Same here, and I didn't expect it that we will be talking more about technology and how you're helping people. I thought that it would be more about what all you have done in past and what you're planning in future.
So we have probably 30 brands. I'm trying to count them in my head, but 30 brands that have come to the convention center. So there's different licenses in the Omniverse City, and I also have a digital marketing company. So I have 15 clients that are on retainer that stay with me every month that let me do their SEO, their digital marketing, all of that. I also deal with frame and lens manufacturers. They hire me to rebuild their infrastructure to build that B2B ecosystem, B2B, B2C ecosystem within their brand. Right now I'm working with one really big company, Hue Lens, with my partner Method Marketing. Again, typically we would be competitors, but we're working together. And we're building this really amazing ecosystem for this lens manufacturer who uses artificial intelligence to design lens material. So cool, right? And we have 3 people that have rented licenses from us in the Omniverse City that have storefronts. And one of them is an actual doctor, a primary care physician. So we have a lot of diverse clients, and that I expect that portfolio to grow.
I really want to get inside that area and see that how things works.
Yeah. Well, if you want to end this, when you end this interview, I'll take you in really quick. Let me know.
Yeah, sure. We can end it and
Go to the Omniverse.city.
okay. So I will do one. Just a second. Let me just open my laptop. Then. Omni.
The Omniverse.city. I'll drop it here.
Yeah, I'm in. Am I in? It says. So it
Yep,
says
you're in. So there's a table.
yes.
If you scroll down a little, that says exhibitor speaker, ask me anything.
Talk to us on tables.
Yep, that's exactly right. And then
Okay.
you'll see me sitting at that little table.
Acha, yeah, exhibitor. Okay,
Yep.
so okay, acha, now I got it. So it's like it's an exhibition hall, and there are different counters. There are different stalls where people have put up, and so let's say that if there is David Green, then he can come down and sit on his chair, and we can join him. Correct? That's
Yes.
how
Yes.
that's how it is.
That's the first stage because, again, we
Okay,
talked about different stages of virtual.
right.
Not all opticians are comfortable with all of the stages. So what we do is we bring them through each stage, and then we let them stop when they've had enough.
Acha, okay.